series just went normally how online tournaments go. We played a team that had really good internet, and they ended up besting us. They beat us on the respawns, and we knew that we were going to be a little shaky on the respawns coming out of the break. We'd only been a team 3 days together, only had really 2 days of practice. You can't expect to be good at respawn game types after 2 days of practice. We ended up tying a blitz or something last map and against Spacey's team, and then we replayed, and there was some issues where like I was on the wrong side or somebody's on the wrong side, and we ended up playing from the opposite sides off the replay. And I don't know. Anyways, it got a little heated, but it seemed to me that Ricky and Parasite were just constantly like bickering the whole time. Parasite was complaining about his connection the whole time. Like, we know he's West Coast, we know it's hard to play on a 3-bar. We get all that, but I honestly was staying out of it. I kind of just kept my mic muted, kept my mouth shut, because they're two vocal people, and they're pretty set in their ways, I would say, Ricky and Parasite are. And so I didn't really feel like I could say anything that would even really help. I was just trying to mediate. We lost, and then we scrimmed a little bit afterwards, and we did pretty good in the scrims, and it honestly came to a shock. It was a shock to see that not only did Parasite leave, but Ricky left as well. I felt the hostility between them, but like it seemed like it was between them two, and that for them two to leave and go team together, that seems a little strange to me.
Really interesting stuff, and I was told that you were kind of the shot caller for a lot of the gameplay yesterday. Did you kind of take on that role, or was it kind of a mix of people calling out the different strategies to employ?
Well, I've always been the shot caller on every team I've been on for the past year. I was more than happy to relinquish that role to Ricky or Parasite, because it honestly takes away from your gameplay a little bit. You can't focus on what you're shooting at and what you're looking at when you're constantly looking at the minimap, constantly telling people where to go and stuff like that. So I did like kind of step back from it, but it seemed to me that like Parasite would say, hey, let's push A, and then Ricky would say, hey, let's push C, and then Matt would go to A and I would go to C, and then we end up being split, and we end up dying, and they 3-cap us, and it was just like a big old cluster, you know what I'm gonna say. And then the thing is like I just started saying things. I was like, all right, well, you two are obviously not agreeing, so I'm gonna just start saying stuff. And then if there's whoever agrees with me, we'll just go to that one. If there's 2 people saying go to A, then we'll go to A instead of listening to the one person saying go C. So definitely, I'm more than happy to step back into that role with the new team, though.
All right. Well, you guys looked solid for a while there. It seems that you definitely ran into some issue against the Young Guns. For those of you guys who are wondering who all they were playing against, that was Spacely, Slacked, Huddle, and who was the 4th last night? John. So the guys who are too young to go to COD champs, but definitely still have that game skill. But did you have a feeling that Parasite was going to leave the roster? Was it a team decision to get rid of him? How'd that come about?
When we initially talked to Parasite, before we picked him up on Optic, we basically he kind of just told us what we wanted to hear, I guess. And I guess it was a good move on his part, but he basically said that he'd be like willing to learn and willing to take criticism and not be hostile. Like one of the main things we were talking about when we picked him up was talking to each other like mature professional adults instead of screaming at each other like children, like how him and Killa talk to each other and how they've talked to each other for the past year. We were trying to say none of that. We can't have that. We're all adults here. We're all professionals. We should be able to talk about this without raising our voice, without losing our tempers, and without really getting mad at each other. And he was fully on board with that. When we first picked him up, he was 100% on board with saying that he was going to be willing to learn, like I said. And then after the first day, he literally just like would talk louder than the rest of us when we were trying to explain something, and then would say that he was 100% right, even though it was all 3 of his teammates were trying to tell him like, hey, let's just try it a different way instead of doing this. And he's like, no, I refuse to play Blitz any other way. And like just basically was unmoving in his way of playing the game, which you really can't be, especially with a new team. With Curse LV, there are different players than us on Optic. And he's been playing with those guys for a while now. So, I understand that he was set in his ways, but he wouldn't even try. Like, he wouldn't even make an effort to do what we were trying to do and try and adapt to our play style instead of trying to make all 3 of us adapt to his play style. So, there was definitely some butting of heads there. And between him and Ricky, it was the worst. They were constantly just yelling at each other. And honestly, if anybody watched my stream the past couple of days, I was just muting my mic, hysterically laughing because of how how upset he was getting over 3 days of practice, and we would like make a small mistake and he would just like fly off the handle. And I mean, it was definitely like me, Ricky, and Nate Shot were texting each other. We're like, hey, are we sure this is the right move? Are we sure we want to be locked in with him to champions? Like we just lost in a 2K and he was freaking out. Imagine losing in the losers bracket at champs and going down into the losers. Like, will he be able to maintain his composure? Is he going to be able to, like, is this going to be fun for us these next couple of months with him just constantly bitching at us? And so we were thinking about, like making moves. And then last night he just basically texted us and said, I'm unhappy with the team. I thought my attitude could mesh well with you guys and it didn't. So I'm going to leave. And we're like, oh, well, it's either the quit or be fired type of deal.
Got it.
So, I mean, that's basically what happened with him. And Ricky
Basically,
came
all
in.
4 of you guys were on the same wavelength there.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, go ahead.
I was going to ask, I'll let you wrap Parasite, but then we got to talk a little bit about Ricky. Go ahead and finish. Sorry.
Yeah, it was just about Ricky. I mean, I didn't see that coming at all. Nate Shot didn't either. It kind of came as a shock to both of us. It seemed like Ricky was in it for the long haul, and I feel like he was a good teammate. He's a good player. He's willing to willing to learn, willing to take criticism, which is all good things you need in a teammate. And when last night, he basically, like, we were texting about dropping Parasite, and he just like stopped responding to me and Matt in the group chat that we had. And so we knew something was up. And then I saw like a Reddit thread saying that he was talking to Nameless on his stream, saying like, Nameless was like, you ready to make moves? And then Ricky's like, my stream's on, not right now. And so it's like kind of obvious,
Yeah.
And so we were just like, are you sketching, man? Like, if you're going to tell us so we can make moves and we can pick up players that we need to pick up before they all get taken.
Right.
And so he basically, I didn't talk to him. Matt talked to him. I'm not sure what was said. I feel like Matt was pretty much heartbroken over it because especially with Scumpy leaving so soon and then with Ricky soon after.
Yeah, Matt's really the only member of this original Optic Gaming lineup, really.
Yeah, I mean, you got Big T coaching, so there's one and a half. There's 1.5 players there still. But I mean, he was pretty upset last night, but I feel like he's got a even more motivation moving forward onto the new squad, so hopefully things pan out for us.
Well, you did fill those seats already. Parasite and Ricky are now gone. They haven't officially announced where they're going, but as you alluded to, maybe we'll see some Las Vegas at the end of Ricky's name one day. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we got to talk about your 2 big pickups. Optic Gaming roster changes, drama continues right here on the Esports Report.